Today we're checking out something that feels quite futuristic to me. It's a brand that's called EUTOUR, and they produce really cool, spectacular watches. You even feel the futuristic vibe from the boxes. They're kind of shiny black with this silver light, but also this kind of rainbowy feel to when the light is shining onto parts of it. But I'm gonna try to get straight into the box so I can show you. There was a little bit of a plastic here, so I had to remove it with my Bergeron knife, of course. Opening this box gives you another box. And for those of you who saw my latest review, this is completely standard. A box in a box. This is what we always see in the watch world. I think it's quite fun. And when we open the second box, we get into where the watch actually is laying. And here we have the new EUTOUR E024 M. EUTOUR produced these really cool magnetic watches, and I will get into how they actually work. But let's get rid of this plastic so you will get a better look of our first feel of how this watch looks like. My first impression is actually that I think this feels great. I like the mixture of this black kind of shiny inner part and this more brushed outer case. It gives a nice contrast. But overall, I mean, the watch looks crazy. And how do you read it? I'll get into that later. Also, it doesn't have any glass. It doesn't have a sapphire glass or anything like it. But still, it's water resistant. That is quite cool, I think. But what's fun here is that we're gonna try to review two watches at the same time. So let's try to get into the second watch box that we have here. The box is slightly different, so you may suggest that it is actually a different watch, which of course it is. For those of you who were observant, it was actually early on in this video when I was fist bumping my girlfriend who was here in the video trying to help me out trying this watch. Because this is one of their women's watches from EUTOUR. I would argue that it actually is a unisex watch, but it is under their women's watches. It's wrapped in a lot of plastic. It's quite satisfying to remove all this plastic on new watches. And soon you will get a better look of how this EUTOUR women's watch that is called Resin with the reference number of U029B. It's a watch that has the same kind of technique as the earlier watch I showed you, but that is in a smaller case in a completely different color. During the video I will compare these watches one by one, but I will also compare them side by side, so you will get a great look about the watches in general, but also the comparison between these two, the both men and the women's version. It's a fun pair of watches to check out and really compare, because as I said, it is a lot of similarities, but also they perceived very different because of the size as well as the straps. Let's start with the E024 M. This one is 40 millimeters large. It fits on a silicone strap. The case is copper, which is PVD to get into this color. It has a 5 ATM water resistance and is powered by a Ronda quartz movement. This watch comes in 4 different colors. You should check out the website, but basically it is a blue, it is a silver, gray, and this fully black one. Personally, I think this watch is great in this full black one because I think the small balls that shows the time is really shining well in this case material. Removing this little thing on the crown will get the watch ticking. Or actually it doesn't tick because it doesn't have a second hand. But to set the watch you do as a traditional one. You pull out the crown and then you twist it. But something that's different with this watch is that the short one, the inner circle, is actually the minute hand, which you can see here that it goes faster when you wind it. and the outer circle is the hour. So as always, we put the watch on 10 past 10, which it is right now. I've seen this type of watch around before, and I think it is cool that you use this kind of magnetic technique to kind of show the time in a very different way. What's also fascinating is that you can see on the backside here that it's actually water resistant, even though the hands are kind of visible and you can actually touch them, because the case is actually closed and the magnetic will not be hurt by swimming a little bit with it. So that is actually a really cool feature that I didn't really guess before I started reading the facts about this watch. But let's try it on my 16.5 centimeter wrist. I've been wearing it a while now, and I can truly say it is quite wearable, even if it is a little bit different, one can say. And you just have to get used to that the inner circle is the minute hand and the outer is the hour hand, and then you're good to go. I think it's actually quite easy to read the time on this watch because the balls, the magnetic balls, are quite shiny and they get the same feeling of like indexes. This is also quite cool that you can actually touch these ones and you can remove them and they will roll out in their orbit. But when you spin it around, they will get stuck to whatever the time is. So if you don't want to know what the time is, you can make them fall into orbit. But then they'll always fall back to show you actually what the time is. And you really have to shake it quite hard to remove them, but they will always get stuck back to show you the time of the day. This has been quite fun because this is something different to what I usually wear and what I usually try. But at the same time, when you look close at it like this, you will see the same high finish as you see on many other micro brands that you see around. And it's quite spectacular. You can really see how the magnetic balls are actually stuck in their own orbit. So the second watch, the U029B. This is a watch that they categorize as a women's watch. I would like to say that it's a unisex watch because I've been actually wearing it. So I think it works as both for us. But it is a 36mm case. It also has the same kind of PVD coating on the case material, but in this it is silver instead. But what's differentiates this is that it also has these white parts that are in this kind of marble kind of look, which gives it a completely different feel to it. And it's also on this steel strap, which also gives a very different characteristics. And actually the middle parts I will show you later, but they are quite cool because they're actually not steel. This watch actually only comes in 3 ATM water resistance, so you could potentially wear this while swimming, but maybe not when you go diving, I would say. It is powered by a Miyota quartz movement, so slightly different movement on this one, even if it works similar. You see also the strap has this quick release system, so if you're tired of this steel strap and you want to try something else, it's going to be really convenient to do that also. And later on in this video we're going to show you how we shorten this link to actually fit my wrist, because there's way too many links on this watch as of now. But to give you a first feel, this is how it will fit on my 16.5 centimeter wrist. And I think this 36mm case actually fits me not too bad, I have to say. But let me know in the comments, what do you think? But I want to test it out properly so I can really feel how it fits my wrist when this link is better. So measuring it, I usually do like this, so I can see that 3 links should be good for me to remove. And I'm gonna take the opportunity to show you guys how I do to remove these 3 different links. Usually I remove the case from the strap fully because it makes it easier to handle the strap when you don't have the case of the watch attached to it. So here you have the steel strap. And with this watch we actually got this kind of tool, so we can actually use that to shorten the link, which is nice because maybe you don't have this laying around at home. And to do this, you have a little arrow under my finger here, and you will just take any of the sprints and push it out, and then you really easily just take your hands and remove this sprint, and then you have detached the first sprint. But when you have these ones, you actually have several holes, so you need to make sure that you actually leave one out in between, because there's two different parts on this steel string, the middle white part and also the gray outer part. So here I actually jumped 3 steps in order to take out the right amount of links. Same procedure here, you just push out this sprint a little bit, and then you take your hands and pull it out the last part. And there you have detached 2 links. Now it comes to the somewhat trickier parts, I would have to say. Usually it's always harder to put it back together than to deassemble it. But then you just take the sprint, align the links, and push it through, and now you do the opposite direction of the arrow, obviously. So you do everything but reversed. Here I usually use this tool, but for this one it was a little bit tricky, so I had to take a little bit more force. But this is how I usually do, and you put the sprint through and then you push it from the other side. But here I actually took a hammer. I would like to have a smaller hammer, but this is what I had. And this is how many of the workshops I visited do to attach these links. So I pushed it through with the hammer in the end. Works quite nice. And did the same on both sides to remove the links. Then it's important to see so you align it correct, because you want it to say EUTOUR on the right direction when you're looking under the watch. Putting it back on obviously is super simple, because you have this quick release system. You just click it on the one side, and then you just turn the watch around and do the exact same on the other side. And there we have it. Finally, I can put it on my wrist and it will actually fit me. Three links, as I said, I removed for my 16.5 centimeter wrist. And there you see the EUTOUR is spelled correctly from under. So this is how it wears after shortening the link. I said to you before that the white parts that looks marbly, it's actually something different. Yeah, it's not steel. It's actually, I think it's plastic, but it's colored in a way so you can actually see through it, parts of it. This is really cool. I like this feature. I thought it was just painted, but this is actually a different material that gives this characteristics of like a see-through marbly vibe. That was something I was quite surprised by when I saw it, actually. But comparing these watches side by side, I think they complement each other nicely. Not only because the colors are so different, but also give different characteristics. I also think having one watch on a rubber strap and the other one on a steel makes perfect sense. This one, as I said, the white one, is portrayed as a women's watch, but I think it could be worn by both men and women. The black one might be more masculine, I would have to say. The silicone strap is super smooth. This makes it very comfortable. I wore it today actually, and it was almost like I forgot that I had it on my wrist, because it's both soft and flexible, as you can see here when I twist the strap around. I think this watch also could be worn on a lot of different other straps, but I haven't tried myself because I'm quite happy with the strap that it came with. I hope you guys like when we do this kind of comparison, and we're gonna thank EUTOUR for sponsoring this video, and we're very happy that we got to try out 2 of their watches. That's always something that makes it extra fun for us as reviewers to not only try out one of their watches, but also 2 of them. So my honest opinion then. Yeah, I actually think these magnetic type of watches was more fun than I expected. I thought it would be a little bit too weird to actually wear it, but it has actually been quite wearable, and I really enjoyed wearing, especially this black one, because it becomes a little bit more masculine, I think, and that is my favorite of these 2 watches. The white one, I think, has a more feminine touch to it, so I think this one my girlfriend might be wearing quite a bit later on during the year. But With this said, we are gonna wrap up this video, and we're happy you have watched this. This is how it looks on my wrist. And for those of you who want something unique together to match with your partner, I think this is great. And this is how it's worn on my girlfriend's wrist. So the coming weeks, we will be walking around the streets like this. With that said, I want to thank you guys for watching. Make sure to subscribe to the video and check out EUTOUR and let us know, have you tried any magnetic watches before? And also, maybe this is how I should wear it. Maybe I should do both of them on my wrist. This is how they look outside. See you guys.